using the humblest and simplest of tools, combining textures and colors, fabrics and fiber. We tell the stories of our lives one stitch at a time. Welcome to Antique Needleworkers. Well, hello and welcome to Antique Needleworkers. My name is Shellie and this is my channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad you've joined me here today. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that while you're here that you will find some inspiration in your making. And if you are a longtime subscriber, I thank you for coming time and time again. Well, welcome my friends. I am so glad that you've met me here today. I have so much to talk to you about and so much to show you. And so we'll catch up and talk about what I've been up to. And I'll show you some stitching, and I have new releases. And I'll show you the things that are sitting around the table because I have purchases too, and we'll just catch right up. Well, the last time I saw you was last week, and I had uploaded the video. I had so many of you say to me, I wish that you would show us the garage. My husband wants to see the man cave. And so last video last week was all about that, and so I hope that you enjoyed that. As if I thought that garage, we got the diner done, got everything done. If you watch the video, you know what I'm talking about. If you saw the part where I go back and I show you my favorite truck, our patriotic truck, that area, I showed you that it looked like the opening to a garage and an old time, garage. Well, just this week, Mr. Fry has decided that he's going to take the truck out of there because he's turning it into an arcade for the grandkids. So there may be an addendum, and I may show you that sometime soon. But anyway, he went and bought a whole bunch of arcade games and skee ball and bowling and what have you for all the grandkids, and so it'll be a blast. I don't think we have to leave to go on vacation, do we? So anyway, we got all done with all of those things. You saw that video. I've been busy because I have 3 new releases for fall that I'm going to show you today. And so of course, I'm busy, and I have done a lot of stitching. It is just the first part of September, and it's Sampler September, and I think I went on a let's start it bender because, sometimes I'm always going to stitch all the things. Oh, I love all the patterns. I love all the new releases, just like you. And so I just try to work all that in, and I just kind of went, ta-da, let's just do a whole bunch of starting. So I've done that, and I did a little bit of English paper piecing applique, quilting a little bit. I'll show you that. I did some crocheting and things like that. So outside of designing and preparing for releases, I've got a lot done. And I did some shopping. I did a little fabric enhancements and things like that. And so I'll show you all those things. But so anyway, how about I show you my new releases first? That way, because I'm so excited to show you these things. And so I think I'll just do that first. What do you think? Okay, well, the very first thing I'm going to show you, I'm always excited about all my new releases because they're my babies. But I've had something in the works since back in the spring. If you remember, I talk about Timbos, and they are the wonderful box makers from Brisbane, Australia. I actually was introduced to them by themselves. Jude, the son, I think he's 23. I misaged him when I talked about him before. But anyway, I got introduced because I had showed that I was doing a Mary Cox piece, a vintage piece, and he so graciously made me a shaker box, and they have very quickly become dear, dear beloved friends of mine. Well, back at market, I had released a pattern which was Be Ye Loyal, and the mom of Timbo's, Kim. Hi, Kim. How are you? They had created a new box, Timbo, her husband, and she mounted my Be Ye Loyal on top of it. And when I saw it, immediately, I knew that I wanted to put something on top of a Timbo's box, that particular box. And so I had something in mind. And so since the spring, I had worked on this, and I think it's a sweet collaboration. And so in the beginning, I think they were calling this box the My Secrets box. But I think it's getting a new name because I created my treasures. And this is my treasures that I created to sit and alight this gorgeous Timbo's box. I just created it a lid, and that comes right off. It's beautiful. It smells so good. But this is my pattern, my treasures that I created to be the lid for this beautiful box that Timbo Shop created. And so I have graciously, and together whoops, I just dropped it. Okay, let me reach down for it. My goodness. Not what you want to do when you're showing your new design. Okay, back to where we were. So this is, I have created a lid for this, and I have used Needle Bling Designs, Ween Beans fabric, and then I used 3 threads, and I've got the pattern right here. This is the new pattern on the new pattern jackets. I showed you last time that I had designed new pattern jackets. Tell me what you think of them. Don't you think that it gives the opportunity for the patterns to shine, and there's not a lot of minutia? I just wanted it to be like that. And so obviously got the Timbo's logo so that you know where to go. If you want a box, I am going to tell you that I have been doing, as I have been doing recently, I created, where'd it go? Oh, okay. Here it is. I have thread packs. I have fabric. And so when you get on, if you choose to purchase your pattern from me, you can go to my website or you can go to the Etsy shop. The Etsy shop, I have that just specifically so the international customers can buy a PDF because my website is specifically USA. But you can get a PDF of the pattern, or you can buy the fabric, the threads, and the pattern on the website, or you can go to your favorite local needle workshop. I sent the patterns off to the distributor, so they are out there. And and as well, I did get a few boxes from Timbo's, so there are a few, but they are going to be limited. So if you want a Timbo's box quickly, there will be a few on my website, and when they're gone, you will be able to follow the link on the back of the pattern if you don't get one of the boxes from me, if you'd like to get a box from Timbo's to put your treasures on. And so I hope that you like it. This border here that I created, I had this in my mind, and I wanted it to look always antique-y. And so I absolutely love this. And this finish that I just did a double-sided board finish, and then I quartered it, and then I took some of the linen and I put some interfacing on it, and a fusible interfacing, and I folded it over and ironed it down and created this tab and just stuck it between the layers for when I did this, just to create your top. Very, very, very simple to do. And so I hope that you like my treasures. I thought it was a perfect place to stick some of your favorite things. And in the pattern, I've used this prop before, but you'll notice in the pattern this pocket watch. You see that? That's also on the cover of Mary Cook, and there, it's kind of significant. My great-great-grandfather was a conductor on the railroad, and that was his pocket watch. And so it is a true treasure to me, and it was the perfect thing for me. Do you have something that's just a treasure to you? This would be a very special place to put it. So anyhow, that is my treasures. And it is stitched again on 36 count Ween Beans by Needleworkers Designs. There are 2 Weeks Dye Works, Lancaster Red and Fathom, and then Heirloom Gold from Gentle Arts. I do have the fabric packs. I have a fabric, I have thread packs, and this is what the box looks like. It's got a wood blank in the top for you. If you purchase one of the few boxes that I have, but I do have a few on there. So that's my treasure. So that's release number 1. Let me put this back in the box. I have a little basket here because I wanted to keep everything together. Okay, now my next release is the 3rd in my biscornu series. This is Fall Biscornu. And you know, I'm not a Halloween girl. I thought, how do I interpret fall Shellie Fry style? Well, it would be sampler style. So I used Quaker motifs and crows or blackbirds. And I created this. Now that's the top. Wait till you see the bottom. Look at that. I was so excited. Oh, I dropped this right before I packed it up. I'm sorry, I've got a little dust on it. But anyhow, this is my interpretation of fall sampler style. And Teresa and Anna from Jersey Girl Stitch Co., look at those gorgeous pins they created. I've got the pins, I've got the fabric, and I have the thread packs that will be available with the design. It's with Bright Leaf from Weeks and Carriage Black is what I used. It's just 2 threads. I didn't want bright orange. Of course I didn't. I wanted it to look samplery and old. So I am just so proud. I have had so much joy creating this biscornu series. So now there are 3. We have 1 left to go and the series will be done. This is the pattern jacket. And I did it exactly how I did the other ones. I wanted to keep everything cohesive, so I did the pattern exactly the way that the other patterns are done with this type of jacket. And so that's the pattern. If you order the thread or the fabric from me, I should say, I want you to know that you get all the fabric you need and it is already cut to size because you need 2 pieces. So whenever I have fabric available for one of my designs, I cut it and I serge it exactly how you need it. It is ready to go when you order that. And so this is 36 count vintage country mocha, and I have available, and I meant to say that with my treasures, both of these patterns I have Ada available as well. So I have the 36 count Ween Beans and I have 18 count Ada. I also have the vintage country mocha in Ada and in 36 count linen. And so, and then the thread pack as well. And then as well, I do have the Jersey Girl Stitch Co. pin sets as well. So one stop. On the one listing, you can click fabric, check. Thread, check. Pattern, check. It's all listed on the website for this. And so then, so that is Fall Biscornu. This is pattern release number 2 for fall. I hope that you like that. I love it. They're so much fun, and you can do it. I have had a lot of people who have stitched my biscornus, and I put very simple instructions. Now listen, a lot of people put just look up a video. I didn't want to leave you hanging, so I did. I do have instructions in here. It's a one-page instruction, step by step. I tell you everything that you need, and it's a very simple overview. And then there are lots of videos. I didn't create a video for it, but I do have instructions in there, so I didn't leave you hanging. And then release number 3, I was so excited. Like, you know, I'm vintagey, and so I was like, I had an idea that, you know, I always go out and I see the trees begin to change, and I'm like, welcome fall. And so I created welcome fall, and I put a beautiful creamy pumpkin in some Quaker motifs and a little border, and up here is another little Quaker. But this is my rendition of fall, and oh, of course, a mountain mist urn for the pumpkin to sit in. And I just absolutely love this. And do you see this pin? I cannot get over Jersey Girl. So I didn't for the pattern jackets. I had already gotten the patterns together because I had to get my my ads out for Needlework Retailer magazine. So I had just created this little bow with some rickrack and with some of the fabric from the back. And I just took a push pin and stuck it in the corner. And so on the pattern, the pins are not in the pattern on there, but I want you to take a look at this. Teresa from Jersey Girl Stitch Co. custom made, they custom make every pin. She hand cut wool for each and every pin set. Would you look at that white pumpkin? This is the neatest pin. And then of course, she got the pumpkin color, she in the crystal, she got the blue in the urn, and then this beautiful pumpkin color. I mean, these pins are out of this world that she created for my pattern. And could that not look any more perfect on the corner of that pattern? I mean, is that not the prettiest thing ever? And so this was stitched on 36 count chatelaine from Mason Linens. It's the medium dark. I do have some fabric, not a whole lot of fabric because it's kind of hard to get your hands on. So I do have some fabric, and I do have the thread packs for this as well. I have the gorgeous Jersey Girl Stitch Co. pins to go with. And, but I will tell you this, Mason Linens does not dye Aida, but if you're an Aida stitcher and you want fabric for this and you just want a one-stop shop, all you have to do is email me. I do have Vintage Country Mocha, which I believe would look beautiful. This is Vintage Country Mocha. I think it would be just as pretty on the Vintage Country Mocha, and I have plenty of that Aida, and I can cut it to size for you. So if you would like Aida, just give me an email and we'll get that going for you. But so I hope that you love Welcome Fall. These are my renditions of Welcome Fall. So like I said, I don't do Halloween, I do fall. So these are my new releases for the fall, for fall. And I'll show you the pattern for, this is the Welcome Fall pattern. And there are 6 colors. There's 3 Gentle Arts and 3 Works Dye Works. It's Mountain Mist, Shaker White, Tiger's Eye, Havana Sage, and Garrison Green that I used. And so I just absolutely love them. I hope you like them too. But I'm so glad that we did that first. I also want to tell you something else that I have just a very limited amount of. But Anna and Teresa from Jersey Girl Stitch Co. are doing a fundraiser, and they have a goal of raising $5,000 or $10,000 for breast cancer awareness. And so they have created Anna's May lace pins that are absolutely beautiful. And I have a few sets of these available on my website. In every bit that bit of the money that is raised goes to breast cancer awareness. So I do have a couple sets of these on my website if you're interested in those, and that supports a great cause, breast cancer awareness. So that was something I wanted to help support in. So you can check for those on the website. All right, let's get into the stitching, okay? I'm gonna put the new releases down. And let's talk about what I've been doing. Sampler September, yay! I was like, let's start everything that I had in my mind. And so I didn't start everything, but I started some new things. Whether I got a little start or a big start, it didn't matter. I just got going. And so the first thing that is a new start that I got was from Quaint Rose Needle Arts. It's Rejoice Evermore. I love the cow. And it's a monochromatic, and you know monochromatic, it's so nice because you can just sit in one color, no color changes. And I'm stitching mine on 36 count fiber on a whim cream and sugar, and I'm using Dinky Dye Silk color number 130. That is black coral. Black coral. Is that upside down? It is upside down. Black coral. So I'm doing it with silk, and I got a little start. I sat down right before bed the other night, and this is the first row of alphabets on page 1, and I started into page number 2. Not page number 2, line number 2. So I got to start on that. Just a little minor start, but you got to start somewhere, right? So really enjoy that. Of course, I love Fiber on a Whim cream and sugar and milk and honey. They're just a beautiful color. And it was a perfect complement to the black coral silk. And so that is my start on Quaint Rose Needle Arts, Rejoice Evermore. And that's what I want to do. I want to rejoice evermore. I just want to keep positive all the time. And that's what drew me in, was the 2 words, rejoice evermore. And then I saw the cow. I was like, oh, flowers and cows and rejoicing. How about it? I'm in. So I started that. That's project number 1. And then project number 2, I cannot show you the pattern. This, you can buy the pattern now, all in whole. But I have talked about I Stitch band samplers by Carol Ridgard in the UK, and it's I Stitch, the letter I, STITCH designs, I Stitch Designs. You can find her on the web, but she does band samplers, and most of all of them are 1/1, but I did this one 1/2, and it's the denim band sampler. And let me see if I can. And but I am doing mine 1 thread. This is 28 count banding. I'm doing it 1/2. And I'm using a Vera Soie d'Alger. And my blue is 1714. 1714. Soie d'Alger from a Vera Soie. But if you notice in this band right here, it's multicolored. I saw someone else on the Facebook group, and they were doing the denim band sampler, but they were doing the whole thing in this DMC. It's called DMC Moulin Colors, and it's 4515. And if you see this, it's got taupes and creamy taupes and blues and light blues, and it's multicolored. And that is how I started off with the blue silk here, and I didn't want to rip it out. I was going to do what Jean Lee said, is always forward, never back. So I left the blue there, and then after I saw this 4515 DMC on someone else's on the Facebook group, I went and got some. And what I'm going to do is I did 6 motifs of blue. right there. And then I'm gonna do the whole band all the way to the bottom. And the last 6 motifs, I'll do them in the swadelge. So the tip and the top and the bottom, the tip and the top will have the blue, but then the variegated will be in between. And so I did 2 lines on that. I only had the top line and I had worked on the bands before that. I love keeping these little doohickeys like this. I have a bag right over here and there's several of these in there. There's the black one, the red one, and then the amethyst band. It's so neat. Once a week for months, you will get a little chart in your email box, and it is your weekly dose of the sampler, the band sampler. And so I signed up and I did mine in the stitch along. I didn't keep up, obviously, because I don't even remember what year this was. Yeah, I don't remember what year this was. But so anyhow, but you can get on her site and you can just order the pattern now and get the whole thing. And you get a section and it looks one way, and then the next week it has different motifs, and it's a surprise, but it won't be a surprise to you because you'll get it all as one pattern. So I worked on the denim band sampler from iStitch Designs. As I said, this is 28 count banding, and normally she does all of hers 1/1. This is the only one that I'm doing 1/2, but it's because I got this banding and I liked it, and I thought, oh, I can do it. This is just the right size. It's a bigger, wider banding, and so I could do it 1/2, which is easier on the eyes, So, but anyway, I worked on that. Let me put my little frame here. Okay, and then I worked on my exquisite lace from Works by ABC, my friend Arlene Cohen. And I had showed you how I had gotten a start on this. And I had done some work. And I got a little more work done. I will tell you this, I'm doing this 1/1 with full crosses. So my progress is going to be not very swift. This is going to be a long-term project unless I really get going. This is 28 count, and I believe it's Atomic Ranch, and I think it's called Christmas Night, and I'm using B5200. B5200, DMC. And what I had last time is I had these 2 side pieces in this low here. I added the top 2, and then I added that rose. And you can't believe it, but that's a whole lot of stitching doing it 1/1. I got to thinking when I was doing the rose, I should have maybe done a 10th stitch, just a half stitch, 1/1, but oh well, I'm doing it a full stitch, and it's going to give a lot of this blue fabric and that white. Isn't that such a beautiful stark contrast? I mean, can you imagine how beautiful this is going to be when it's done? And so this looks like very little progress, but listen, look at that rose. All of that top, that 1/1, I stitched on it for 2 days. So anyway, that's Exquisite Lace by Works by ABC, B5200, 2500, 5200. Why do the bags over here? I thought I would just have everything set up and not have all my bags zipping and unzipping. It's DMC white thread. Let me talk to you as I'm glad I stopped myself here. Okay, again. Arlene Cohen, Works by ABC, Exquisite Lace, 28 count, 1/1. Okay, let's talk about white thread really quick. And I want to talk about stitching 1/1. Don't be afraid of it. I learned something years ago, and I was trying to remember where I learned it. And I want to say that Barb and Alma from Bluebird, I think I learned it from them. I'm going to teach you a tip in just a minute, but first things I want to tell you, when you're working with white thread, this is my surmisings. I don't think that I know everything. But did you ever notice when you're stitching with white thread, it's a lot thinner? And so if you're stitching with 2 white threads, it's a nightmare. I hate to stitch with 2 white threads. White thread issues are just a real thing. And so I will tell you, I dress my threads. And when I mean I dress my thread, I always dress my white thread with wax. And so I'll use beeswax. And so I knew better than this from stitching on a dark fabric, but I grabbed my thread and I dressed it, whipped it through that beeswax and put it through. And I forgot that sometimes, and I did wipe my fingers. So I will dress it with one swipe, and then I take my fingers and I'll wipe it once or twice to make sure that that beeswax gets down on there. Okay, that still doesn't matter on dark fabric. Sometimes you can get beeswax dust. It's a real thing. So when you're pulling the thread through, in particular, maybe not as much on 1/2, but on 1/1, you're gonna get a little dust because it's tighter, right? And so, I stitched about 5 stitches when I started this, and I was like, oh dear Lord, I forgot dark fabric. So I ran and I dusted it off with a little brand new mascara wand, you know, those dust fairies for your fabric, and got the little wax dust off. And then I went and got my Thread Magic. I wish I had one here. I don't, but it's a thread conditioner, and you can find it in the quilting section of, well, I wished I could say Joann's, but you can find it at Hobby Lobby. Michael's, I know some of the Michael stores are now carrying fabric, and they may have some more notions and things like that. But it's a little pot, and it has, it looks like an eraser when you open it. It's like this jiggly stuff, and you run your thread through it and run your fingers across it, and you know, it may be like hair gel, kind of. It's like, maybe it's like that for your stitching. But I say all that to say this. So I dressed it with that, no dust issues. Okay, so then you get white stitches. It makes the white behave. My thought process on white, I don't know that I'm right, but I'm going to give you my thoughts. So when I dye wool, when I spin my own yarn and things like that, one of the things is the yarn blooms when it is in the dye pot. And so where it, you know, and it'll puff up a little bit. And I wonder if the process, you know, you have a blank bleached cotton, you know, in your white thread, if you have a cotton, and there's not been any dye applied to it. And so I just have to wonder if the other colors are not as thin as the white because the cotton didn't bloom because it didn't have to go through the dye process. I don't know, but I think that might be a smart thought process. Is it right? I don't know, but you know, I think that's why. Tell me in the comments. I am telling you, I think that white thread of any type is puny. I will say that I thought that I would do 1/1 with a 12 weight sulky. No, it's too thick, and it was bulky, and you could, but I didn't like it. You know, it was too much. And so I do think that my stitches look absolutely stunning. Your white stitches can too, whether you use 1 thread or 2, dress your white thread because it just makes it lay right and gives it some structure and some body. And maybe the wax and stuff makes it, I don't know, maybe not puffy or it didn't bloom, but I don't stitch without dressing my white thread. So anyway, that's Shellie nattering on about thread. So Exquisite Lace by Works by ABC, my dear friend Arlene Cohen. Hello, Arlene. Love this piece. I'm so excited to be doing it. And this does take morning eyes because it's 1/1. I don't care that it's 28 count 1/1 on anything on these eyeballs. I'm blind as a bat. So that's morning stitching. And so I did a little bit there. I did a very tiny bit on this next piece. But you're going to find out something in a little bit. But whether I touched a little bit or a lot of it. I'm showing it to you because if my needle touched it since I saw you last, I'm showing it. My next one is Friends Are the Flowers, Friendship Sampler 2021 by Mill on the Floss Samplers. This is a stitch along that I'm doing with my precious friends, Robin Givens, Lorraine Rowe, and Michelle Pilgrim. They came to my, the retreat that I was the designer for this year, and they were doing this, and I got to join in with them. And this is my Oklahoma because I was the designer, so this is my retreat piece, but it's a stitch along with my friends. And the girls had done a conversion to flower threads, and I show this every time. I'm going to show it again. This is the DMC that's listed on the chart, and this is the flower threads that the girls put together so that we would use flower threads. I'll hold this here. You can take a screenshot. You can stop me and just write it down. Okay, I'm doing this on 32 count dirty teacup, one thread, because that's how you use flower threads, over two linens. This is Dirty Teacup by Rachel from that's right. I'm so sorry, Rachel. Linen and Flax. I'm sorry. I had a moment. Okay, I did very, very little. But, you know, I've got it all the way down to the bottom and over, and I have some flowers because I had the girls put their initials. But what I've accomplished since I saw you last is I began the wreath cartouche. And so that's really all I did, was that wreath part of that wreath cartouche that's the hand of the friend is on. Didn't have a lot of time, but I wanted to get a little work on this. Even a few stitches better than no stitches. As I said, 32 count, because you have to use 32 count to use flower threads. And it's one thread over 2 linen threads, Needle and Flax, Dirty Teacup. So I worked on that and I love it. I love the girl. She's so pretty in that butterfly. This is such a pretty piece. Okay, I worked on that. And then, where am I? Oh, hold on. You know, working on this, what you didn't see is there's 3 colors and it's very, very, very confetti-ish. Well, I have 3 needles threaded with those 3 colors, and I had them sitting right there on that magnet. I almost didn't put it down there with them. I'd go to stitch and wonder where that was. Okay, the next thing that I worked on was I worked on my Stitchy Box sampler, the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. I was totally enamored with this, and I'd seen it before, but my friend Jackie from Comfort Stitching is doing this, and I'm following suit as to how she's doing it. I have picked every color gold in the world of silks in my collection, and I'm stitching this 1 thread over 2 threads on 37 count Russian tea cake, and I got 1 more motif on. You'll notice this is last time, and this is this time. I got 1 more motif on there. Love that. Look at this. That motif looks like a crown, doesn't it? But anyway, and I used, for that and for this, I used Veriswa 103, and the color number is 022. Is it 022? 20 or 22? 22. And so I got a little work on that. I got that done right there. 37 count Russian tea cake by Legacy Linens, and a Veriswa 103 number 022. And I will tell you right now, I absolutely have been so enjoying this because I used the inspiration I showed you before, that I bought several books, and I'm reading a very thick book right now. It's Beatrix Potter, Life in Nature, and it is such a wonderful thing to be reading as I'm stitching this sampler that hung in Beatrix Potter's house. I've watched all kind of documentaries on YouTube. They're free. And there's one that's put on by the Land Conservancy of the UK because she bought like 4,000 acres with her own money to conserve the beautiful Lake District where she lived. And I have bought a couple books that are here in my, I hope they're sitting here. Where are they? I brought 2 books over here. They're around here someplace. Anyway, they're in my acquisitions. You'll see. They're right here in front of me. Thank you. I'm going to show you those in my acquisitions. But I have bought some more books, watching lots of documentaries. You can go on to YouTube and watch a movie that was created called Miss Potter. Please go watch it. It is so good to see her life. So interesting. You know, I have antique versions of the her little books. They were one of my favorites to read to my children when they were little. And of course, I have a compilation book, but I had to buy I wanted to make sure they were vintage and old from, you know, back in the 30s and such. And so I have a stack of those and I love them, but I appreciate them 10 times more as I'm learning so much more about her life and reading the book about her life. And I bought a hardcover book. I showed you these on other Flosstube, and just one is her sketches, one is her gardening, one is, the book that I'm reading is just the thickest life story, but I just, I could curl up and read it for hours. And then seeing the biographies and things like that on YouTube, it really enriches the stitching of that piece. And so I'm really enjoying the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. Thanks, Jackie, for encouraging me, enabling me. Okay, so I stitched on that. Okay, what next? What do I want to show you next? Okay, then I worked on my Bluebird, my Quaker Bluebird sampler, and this is from Willow Hill Samplings. It's on a very dark fabric. I showed this last time. And I'm stitching this 2/2, which you never hear me say, on 32 count. Picture this plus ale. I always stitch 1/1. I must have decided that I really wanted it to pop on that dark fabric. And so I ended up, when I started it in 2022, a long time ago, I'm doing it with DMC 930. And I have it on a scroll rod today as well. And this is this is a Millennium frame, and it's the little wizard. And I undid it because that way you could see. Okay, the last time I saw you, I'm gonna put this down here. I had the center motif, I had the lines down in the 2 corners, and I had A, B, and C. So I finished the rest of the lettering around it. I added this motif, and I added the bird, and I added the urn. And oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get this done. Every stitch of this is, well, I say this about everything I stitch. Every stitch of it is such a joy. I have to say I must be an endorphin junkie because, you know, they say the endorphins roll when you stitch and do handwork and those type of things. And all I can tell you is happy, happy, joy, joy. This is going to be just such a beauty, and I'm going to hang this in the entryway of the main house. And so, yeah, this was on this scroll, and it was rolled up this way at the top, so you couldn't see the breadth of that. So next time you probably won't see that because I'll have it rolled down and we'll go that way. But I did do work at the top, so I wanted you to see that I added the rest of the letters there, the rest of the way around, and then added the motifs. 32 count, picture this plus ale, DMC 930, 2 threads over 2 linen threads. I started this in 2022. I had the top 2 corners and some of the going down the side, and I had part of the cartouche. It's a 2-line cartouche, and so I had the outside of it, and the last time I showed you I finished the cartouche. And so now I've got this, and there is one more motif, and it goes congruent on this side to those 2 motifs, and then all of page 1 will be done. It's a 3-page pattern, so I'm almost a third of the way there. And so I worked on that. We put this down. And then, where are you? Where is Jane? Jane Parsons, where are you? I had everything sitting here. One moment, let me find Jane. Hey, I fooled myself. I thought I put Jane on stretcher bars. I just want to tell you, she's going on stretcher bars so that I can finish her off. Well, maybe, because I'm so close. I'm getting so close. I apologize. I have a dangling thread and needle, and she is not ironed. Okay, the whole story about all the stretcher bars is going to come in a little bit. You're going to understand everything you've seen thus far. There's a story. Okay, so I pulled her cover out. This is Jane Parsons 1841 from the Wishing Thorn from Burgett. I love this, and you know this. I'm stitching this on 28 count fabric because I'm using the Vera Soie d'Alberson wools that Burgett had put together for this. Okay, so since I saw you last, here's what I've done. I did this bird and this tree. That wrinkling is awful. My apologies. I did that, and then this was a ton of work. I had probably this far of this soil. I got it all the way across in one place, and I'm telling you, when I finish that, I can get to putting the little dogs and the little bushes and the parrot, and I'll be done. And so this is Jane, and like I said, I've got a needle connected to wool right there. It's right where I left it because I took it off of the hook and I was going to put it on a pair of stretcher bars, and I ran out of stretcher bars. And I'm going to tell you all about that in a little bit. But she's getting there, people, isn't she? I love her. I love her. I love stitching. This is so gushy. I do. But it just brings me such joy. And I'm enjoying her so much. I've got to get the pretty flowers around the border too. But I just feel like I'm heading the corner towards home, getting all of this multicolored dirt. Oh my gosh. It's like, okay, outline the dirt and fill it in. Outline another color in dirt and fill it in. So she was very creative with her dirt. So as again, I said, I'm using a 28 count that came with it. But you know what? I couldn't find it last time. But I did find it. Here we go. I had lost the tag, and then I found where I put it. I'll tell you where I put it. It's right here in the bag somewhere. Okay, it's making a flipper. Okay, this is my rat's nest, okay? But there's another one in here that has one thread on it. I just have to find it. And on there is the little tag. I hung it. That's where it was last time. Burgett put this, and it is 28 count clay cashel linen. So I did have it last time. I hid it from myself right here in plain sight. So that is the linen that I'm using. And as I said, this is the Soie d'Alberson beautiful Vera Soie wools. I love stitching with wool. They're beautiful, lovely, wonderful. And so that's my progress on Jane. Hid her from myself right here in plain sight. She was right there in the bag. But like I said, I'm going to tell you, you've seen a lot of stretcher bars today. There's a story. I'm going to tell you all about it in a few minutes. But I'm still showing you my whips and starts. Okay. Then I had another new start. Half Pone Creek, Christy and her sister Sarah. Christy had showed on social media that she had finished the top border of the rose sampler, and the rose sampler was a free chart in 2008, I believe, from Ellen Maurer-Stroh. And I showed this online, and But anyway, this was a free chart. It was in her 2008 free chart. This is what the sampler looks like. Is this gorgeous? But Christy had finished that. This is an awful picture. There is not a cover photo. This is just a photo that was on the website with the free pattern. Look, birds, butterflies, and flowers. I mean, what more could you ask for? Now, this was a couple colors of blue in this pattern, and I didn't choose to do it that way because what drew my attention when I saw Christy's post on Instagram was that she had done it in this beautiful like taupe. And so I was like, oh, I want a monochromatic that too. And so I'm using DMC 3862. I'm stitching this one thread over 2 linen threads on 37 count Russian tea cake by Legacy Linens, and I got a good start on this. So I got the side border, and as you can see I'm starting down the swag right here. I'm right here. That's where I'm working. And so I got a start on that. I allowed myself this new start, and this is, look at this gorgeous linen with that beautiful taupe. This is just going to be a stunning sampler like this, and I was just so thrilled with her inspiration. And so I got started on this on Labor Day. I've worked on this a little, and as I said, one thread over 2 linen threads, and I love that. And that was a new start for Sampler September. Again, here it is. And I'm going to hold this up very carefully. Ellen Maurer Stroh. This is her name right here. www. Look this name up. And then go to free charts, and it'll say free chart 2008 Rose Sampler. And you can find her on the interweb. And these are my details on my project tracker card. Okay? All right, I started that. And then I had a start and a finish. I've told you before, I am part of the Willow Tree Samplings Guild out of Texas. Willow Brown, it leads that guild. And this year they have a project, and it's called the Friendship Book, and it was designed by Betsy Morgan. And so every month they send out a chart, and you do a little page of the book, and when it's all done, when we finish it, it's an accordion style folded book. Each and every one of the samplers, little samplers, represents a different country. And so the first one starts off with America, and the Laura Standish sampler, which is the oldest known American sampler, which her father was on Mayflower. There are motifs in the American one that come from, inspired from her sampler. And so this is page 1 of our Friendship Sampler book that we're doing. And as you can see, you ruche the sides with 12 weight thread, 12 weight pearl cotton, and we will lash those together to make the pages. But this is page number 1. I am very late in the game. I think that there's been 5 or 6 that I have the patterns right here, and I have them all printed out, but I started late to the game. But since I last saw you, I thought, Sampler September, I need to start on my book with the guild, with the Willow Tree Sampler Guild. And so I got 1 page. I got the American page done. And you choose your very own palette. There's whatever is in this, you will have those colors again, and they add maybe a color or 2 as you go. And so you pick your own, and I've seen some that were very bright. Of course, I want mine to look antique because it's me. I'm doing this on 36 count, and it's Weeks Dye Work Platinum. And I did 1 thread over 2 threads. I'll pull my threads for you really quick. Let me grab the bag where I have it around here, right here. And because I know somebody's going to want to know. So let me just tell you. I'm sorry. I should have just gone ahead and pulled it out. Okay, so this is the 12 weight pearl cotton. And you go, like I said, you go around the outside so that later on when you're making this a book page, like a biscornu, you lash it right there. That's how you connect them. Okay, so I have, let's see. I have some wagon wheel from Classic Colorworks in mine. I have some Ye Old Gold. I have Blackboard as my dark blue from Gentle Arts. One of my favorites, Lancaster Red from Weeks Dye Works. My lighter blue is Dublin Blue from Classic Colorworks. And then I have Piney Woods by Gentle Arts, and Oscar from Weeks Dye Works as my two colors of green. But I do have some colors in here for future pieces because, well, let's see. I think it's okay if I have the picture because I can't show you the charts. But the next one is Scandinavia, and this is what it looks like. And then the next one after that is New Zealand. Oops, sorry. I held the wrong page up. But you see there's some pinks in there. And so then there is Mexico. And it looks like this. And then after that, I think Mexico's the last one I have. So how many does that make? That's 1, 2, 3. I have 4. I'm thinking there might be another one out there already. No, there is. There's 6. Where's the other one? Oh, I can't show them because Scotland is next, and then there's another one, and I don't know where this one. Oh, England comes after that. But I don't have pictures, so I can't show you. Sorry, I just about blew it by showing that. But so anyway, I did throw some pink and purple. I went forward and looked, and I knew that there was some pink and some purple. And so I picked Shellie by Classic Colorworks and Iris by Weeks Dye Works for when those come, because I was trying to make my palette copacetic and balance with one another. So anyway, so I started and finished that. So that was I started that since Sampler September started, and I'm excited to be a part of that. And very, very neat. And again, I talk about this with being part of a guild. You get associated with doing special things that you just can't go by. You got to be part of the guild to do that. So Willow Tree Samplings, you can find them on Facebook. And it's very simple to sign up. Okay, and so that's everything. That's all my stitching. Yay! Okay. I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. I do have some things that were works in progress. They are not stitching related, so I just want to tell you that in advance. If sayonara to me, if you don't want to see them, and that's okay. I had showed you before that I'm doing English paper piecing, then applique mounting them onto quilt blocks. And so I've got a basket of them, but what I did was I didn't mount anymore, but I English paper pieced another star and then some more flowers. And then I also thread basted a bunch. And I want to show you these. Adita Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. I'm going to pull these out. These are 7/8 inch hexies that I'm using for my flowers. But Adita has little messages on each of her papers. This is so neat. And I just love it. But so I worked on did some thread basting. let's see, I'll show you how many I thread basted, and then I put some more flowers together. Oh, I found another. Underneath there were 2 more flowers that I had done. So I did all those flowers, and then I thread basted a big handful of hexies. So that's how I worked on that. But let me show you, this is what these look like. You can find them on Edita Laundry Basket Quilts website. I wish she had these for everything because these are so encouraging. Every single one of them has a message. Dream big. Be happy. Happy quilting. Be thankful. Think less, quilt more. So it's so much fun. Make a quilt. You are so SEW special. So on the back of each of one of her English paper piecing templates is a little message, and so that makes it a lot of fun. So I worked on some blocks for that, yeah, and I did some thread basting. Sometimes it's just fun to sit with the thread and just baste and baste and baste and baste. I like to glue baste, don't get me wrong, but when you thread baste, it doesn't pull the fabric so tightly down to the form, and so when you put them together and you sew them, it's a little more loose, you know, as opposed to gluing. But I'm not opposed to gluing. I have my sew line pen right here in the basket in case I take a notion, but all of these I have sew basted, and so I worked on that. I dropped one. It says happy quilting. Okay, I worked on that, and then I worked on one other thing. I had told you that on my crochet Christmas blanket that I have showed you my progress along the way. I mean, Christmas will be here before we know it, and this thing is not going to be but a throw for my couch, so I really needed to get some work done. So what I do is I production crochet, so I do a bunch of the centers, and then I do the blocks, and then I do a stack of blocks, and then I put the edging on it, and I join it as I go. I added a few blocks on here since the last time I saw you. So this is 4.5 rows. So no, this is 3.5 rows. This blanket is going to be 6 rows wide, and it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 high. So 6 across and 8 high, or maybe 7 across. It just depends. But it's not, I mean, I'm to the halfway point. And so I added a few more blocks on there. Isn't it going to be just so pretty? And I was inspired because Carrie had a stocking on her shelf, one Advent video year or so ago, and I was like, what's that blanket? She said, it's a stocking. I said, it needs to be a blanket. And so I wanted to make a blanket, and these are just granny squares. All you literally do is do a red center with green and then go around it with your white. So I added a couple blocks to the blanket, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I did 9 blocks. I do not have my tails woven in, but yeah, I got 9 more blocks ready. And then I think that I should probably, maybe I have, I'm getting there. So I've got more centers. So as soon as I get every one of these into this condition, then the next thing I'll do is I'll add them onto the blanket as I go, and I'm using the red accent to do my join as you go. And I worked on that because it's September. There's no reason I can't get this done for Christmas. And so I want to do that. So I had said that, so I worked on it. So I think that was a lot of progress because I think I put 2 or 3 blocks on there, and then I made all these. So that's pretty good, yeah? And then I also have these centers, and let's see how many I've got. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. That's a whole row right here. That's a row right there. I think I got almost, I have enough, if not more, this may finish the blanket. I don't know. But so anyway, we'll see. I'm going to feel it as, you know, when I add them on. Does that feel good? Does that feel right in size? I'm not following a pattern. The joining method I've showed you guys before, I've given links to it. It's not my join, it's somebody else's, and it's not a video. It's only a written. And so I've got a link for that if you're interested, but it's very simple. And so, but I worked on that. And so now those are all the things I worked on. We're a long way in, and I want to tell you something very cool. I have things that I've got, acquisitions, but I want to show you something that was sent to me first. You know, if you have watched video 19, What's All the Hoopla, that I love equipment. And I have, in the course of time, I don't think every single one, but very close, I have tried, purchased, and given away, hoarded, not hoarded, I have it all in its place. There's no junk. But I've tried just about every hoop and stand there is. I do have a favorite hoop stand, but I had really high hopes last year that I had found a stand to put scroll rods on, because isn't it nice when you can see the whole field? Or if you used a Q-snap and you can see this whole section and watch it grow across. I've always wanted to do that, but I'm going to tell you, nothing has made me happy. Now, I can sit at a desk, and I had done this on Labor Day when I was working on this rose sampler. I have these pull-outs on my desk where they're like writing tables that you can pull out. And so I pulled the drawer out on one side and a pull-out on one side, and I laid it down, and I was two-handed stitching at my desk, and I did a reel. I have never really found anything stand that made me happy. I have found scroll rods that made me happy, and you've seen them all today. I'm going to tell you in advance, I cannot even believe it is just Murphy's Law. I took to the St. Vincent de Paul the biggest load of scroll rods known to man. I mean, it was shocking how many I had, because I truly wanted to be able to use scroll rods, put things under tension. There's good scroll rods, there's not good scroll rods. And so the not so good ones would make it back farther in the pile, but I would try and try and try. But the whole thing, I want to do it two-handed to stitch, and I've never been happy. Never been happy. Thought I was going to be happy last year. No, not so much. And I would, you don't see me do reviews very often, because if I don't have something happy and wonderful to say about it, then I'm not going to review it at all, because I want to say good things. I can't take back things that are negative. Just because something didn't work for me doesn't mean that it's not a good product. But I am going to unequivocally tell you, I couldn't even see this coming. I take all of those scroll rods and take them to the St. Vincent de Paul, and then I get contacted by Kathy, sweet Kathy Mills, who owns Hobby House Needleworks, and she said, Shellie, did you know that we are the exclusive distributor for It's All About the Wood stands? And I'd like to know if you'd like to try one. And so first off, I went straight to the website to see what it looked like. And I was like, oh gosh, you could put scroll rods on that, and that looks like it'll work. This is one I haven't seen. This is one I haven't used. I do believe I heard about it, because come to find out, Vanna Pfeiffer had a whole lot to do with a whole lot of the functionality of this, or her request to the people who make it. I think they might be really good friends. And so anyway, I said to Kathy, by goodness, yes, I would like to try one of those. And she generously sent one to me. And as you notice, everything I showed you is on scroll rods, because it worked. And I have not put my seal of approval on ever. I've said, I've hoped, I worked for it, blah, blah, blah. But I've never come back to you, and you've never seen me show you something on scroll rods because they don't work for me. And it's me probably in my hang-ups and hookups. But Kathy Mills sent me this. Kathy, I love you. Thank you so much, because it set it free, because I am a couch stitcher. And so a stand that stands on the floor, I've bought one of those, spent just terrible amount of money on it and gave it away because I couldn't bear it sitting there. And I knew a stitcher that would love it, and I gave it away. And I waited months for it to be built. Did not work. Couch, it's hard to be able to sit on the couch and stitch with a frame. Are their bases right so that it doesn't topple off your, that's been a big thing. If it's been a lap stand, it gets unbalanced with, you know, the stretcher bars. And guess what? This thing is awesome. And as I said, you don't see me do endorsements. You don't see me do, reviews very often. I think I've done one review. Maybe I think I've done one review. But I couldn't get on here fast enough to tell you about this, because this is an absolutely wonderful piece of equipment. I was so sad because all of those scroll rods I took, this is a Millennium frame from the UK. Okay, listen, this came from Needle Needs Designs. This is never going to St. Vincent de Paul. My little wizard, I have artisan design scroll rods here. I have my handy clamps. Thank God and you know what? They all almost went to St. Vincent de Paul. And I thought, those are amazing. You can't get rid of those. It'll work out one day, maybe. At least that was my hope. And then who would have known that, just a week or two later that Kathy Mills would contact me about this stand. Let me show it to you. This is from it's all about the wood. There is the logo. The only place you're going to find one of these is on Hobby House Needleworks website. This is extraordinarily well priced, number one. It's priceless though, because it's amazing. I want to show you some things. Here's some of my hangups that I have had trying to use something to hold my scroll rods. It's usually the upright right here. Okay, so if you two-handed stitch, they tell you to put your predominant hand underneath. I'm ambidextrous. I put my non-dominant hand underneath. And so it seems as though there's an upright right there, and you're always hitting your arm and you feel uncomfortable getting in the edge. That's not going to happen with this, because first of all, these things right here, let me show you what they do. You can make it as big as you want, all the way out. They have two sizes. This is the medium size. Let me try to hold this correctly. Okay, I want you to be able to see it. But you unscrew these and they can open all the way past the base. Okay, number one, this base size is 21 inches across. That is the fantasticness of this stand. Now, if you want to make this go all the way to small, you just to the smallest, and that's why I'll review the scroll rods you just saw, because I took every size and I chose my stitching so that I could try every size on this. I have given this a thorough test drive, because look how small you can put on there, and then you can take them and turn them out. This is the amazing thing. If you're sitting there and you have your scroll rod, or you have your, you can have scroll rods. I think you could sit a hoop on here. You could sit a Q-snap. I mean, Q-snaps and scroll rods would be amazing with this. But anyway, so let's just say this was my solution. I began to stitch and I was on the left-hand border, have my left hand underneath, and the upright was in the way a little bit. I gave it a little turn. Bam, it was gone. And then the other thing is I could move it out just a little bit farther if I wanted to. Now, if you need it to be this close, to put a small hoop or frame or whatever on here, all you have to do is you have to make sure that you see how it's got this bigger side and then you have a flatter side here. You have to make sure if you need to make it tiny that you just kind of flip them around to this side, but it would be this side normally. And but anyway, then you can move them very, very close as well. Then the uprights also have adjustable so that you can take it down or up almost flat. So if you like to stitch and look straight down on it, you could literally look straight down on it. And so there's going to be a link directly to this. And honestly, you know, I've done a slight product review before. This is Shellie Fry's real deal. Listen, I don't know that I carry any weight in any of the matters, but this gets my 1000% seal of approval. This thing is amazing. I love this. One of the things is when it sits on your lap, that 21 inches wide. This is a medium, the large is 23 inches. So you get an inch and a half more on both sides, which means you can take your uprights farther out because they're going to go, when you take the uprights out, you see they go past. So if you're a scroll rod user and you've got a 36-inch scroll rod, it's gonna sit right on here just fine because you can take these all the way out just like that and look at all that room. Or like I said, you can take this, you can do a little flip around so that you get the short side and you can sit them as close as the two like this. You can move them out and get them out of your way. All I have to say is Dave and Joni, who own It's All About the Wood, bravo. What a beautiful, beautiful stand. Kathy Mills, their Hobby House Needleworks is their exclusive distributor, and you can find them on their website. There is a link in my description box directly to this product. No, I'm not making any money off that. So I have nothing to gain other than Kathy was so gracious to send me this stand. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying this to sell you this because I'm going to make some money off this. This has nothing to do with this. This has to do with I don't do these things, and I couldn't wait to tell you about this because there's got to be somebody else out there that's just like me. I wanted to be able to do this forever. I mean, you know, I love my hoops. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, look at all these hoops behind my head. I collect queens. We know this. But when I'm couch sitting and I'm leaning back and I put this on my lap, I bring my magnifier over, I put the picture in, you can see me. And I've got my feet up on the ottoman in front of the couch and just stitching away in pure bliss. I have the whole field in front of me. If I wanted to go on all the way across, I could have gone across and stitched. And it holds it taut, no wrinkled showing on my Flosstube. And yeah, I am very, very highly, highly impressed with this. I find it just a sincere gift that I was offered the opportunity to try this. Bravo, Vanna Pfeiffer, for you had to been a stitcher to give advice for these things, because I'm telling you, this is a stitcher's friend. It's just good. The width of this too, so it's sitting perfectly on your lap. Now you'll see right here, they also give you these feet for right there, so it'll it could prop it up to sit it looking towards you a little more. I have mine in my office, but I did not choose to put those feet on there because I'm a couch stitcher. If I'm sitting out here, I'm sitting in a recliner stitching, but really I do all my stitching in the morning and in the evening. If I'm work stitching my models, you never know where I'm going to be, but really the couch is where I stitch. And this, see, it's sitting right here on my lap. And you know, look at this. I want to show you something. See how I have my arms like this? When I put my stitching on here, it was so neat to me. Okay, I'm going to scoot back so you can see me a little bit, and maybe you can see this. But as I was two-handed stitching, I want you to notice, see my right hand? It was stitching, I was stitching just like this, and I put my needle in and I put my needle up. But what do you notice? Look at that wrist. That wrist was resting, and I couldn't believe I had no fatigue in my arm because I wasn't holding my hoop, which I love my hoops. I don't think I'd take this everywhere. If I was going stitching at, you know, if I was going stitching for a stitch day, I'd probably take my hoop with me. But I'm telling you, 99% of my stitching is at home on my couch. And so just to be able to rest my arm, and when I was this far out, I don't have this tightened down. Let me tighten that back down. But when I was in the middle of a piece, when I was working on that wreath in the middle of the friend sampler, I even was able to rest more of my arm closer to my elbow up on there. And I am telling you, it made for the most comfortable stitching. I mean, look at this posture that you can get. Yeah. So I wanted to share that with you. I really feel I am tremendously grateful for the opportunity to have been given the opportunity to try this stand. Thank you, Kathy Mills. Thank you, David, Hobby House Needleworks. You guys, I love you guys so much. You know that. And you have top-notch everything. And Dave and Joni from It's All About the Wood, absolutely fantastic product. Listen, run, don't walk. Get on there and get yourself one. They have a large size, and I saw on the website it's the exact same price. I think, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But anyway, there's a link below. I hope that if you're out there and you're like me and you always wished you could stitch like that, I can tell you I stitched. One day I decided that I was going to not work, which meant I wasn't going to model stitch. I was going to just stitch for me, and I was working on a piece, and I just sat down and I think I stitched for 6 hours, and there was not one bit of fatigue in my right arm. So I don't know. Fantastic. It's All About the Wood lap stand. Go get you one. I just can't say enough about it. Thank you for the opportunity that was sent my way. That was very gracious and kind. I hope that that helps a stitcher out, and I hope that you love them, because I love it. I now can honestly say that is in the books. That's why you saw every single thing except for Jane was on a scroll rod, wasn't it? Except for that finished piece, but it was on a scroll rod too. And but I don't have any more. I've just placed an order to get some more in, because I'd like to take some of my samplers that I'm working on. You know, when you can see things on them and they're I don't know, good equipment. My husband has talked about that for years. You know, in his line of work, we owned a chain of collision centers for the majority of our marriage before he sold them and bought his dealership. He still has a collision center there, but my husband has always said that good work is produced from good equipment. And I can't agree more, because when you can do your work more comfortably and more better, for lack of better English, then you really get good results. And so you get a lot of work done. And so I've done a lot of stitching, and I model stitched on top of all of that. And you know that because you're constantly doing that. So anyway, good equipment. Catch you one from Hobby House. Okay, now let's talk about the other acquisitions that I have, because I have some other things. Okay, I talked about Beatrix Potter, and I show you some books that I bought before. We all know that I'm a knitter and a crocheter, and I was on Thrift Books, which I love. It's a secondhand app where I buy a lot of books. And I just punched in Beatrix Potter. I wasn't looking for anything in particular. I just wanted to see what was out there that I didn't have. Not her children's books, but things maybe written about her. And there was a knitting book called the Beatrix Potter Knitting Book. Now, if you're not a knitter, you might not know this. I love color work. Color work charts look identical to cross-stitch charts. And so I thought, oh my gosh, what's in that book? I think I paid $2.50 and then shipping for this, because it was on half price books. And so anyway, I got it, and there are some darling things in here. I'm trying to flip through so so as not to show you the pattern, but I want to show you this sweater with all of these bunnies. Both of my grandchildren show rabbits in 4-H. And so you see that sweater? I could take one motif and from its pattern and stitch it, and it be, I could stitch it for them, and it be a piece that I could frame or maybe put on maybe their show bag for them. And because the chart looks just like a cross stitch chart. But funny thing, in the midst of this, they do have cross stitch charts in here, in a place in one of these books. But look at this beautiful, this is a christening gown. Isn't that beautiful? Fauna Pfeiffer. She sewed the most beautiful christening gown for her granddaughter. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But look at this Tom kitten. How cute is this? So anyway, I bought this because I am a knitter, and I want to show you the sweater on the back. This looks like Beatrix's garden. This is the knitting right here in this sweater. But what if you just took one of these motifs from the chart for the knitting and stitched just one of those into the needle book? So it could tick a couple boxes for me, cross stitch and knitting. But as I said, I'm just so elated to learn all these things about her that I didn't know. And then there was another book. It's the Beatrix powder needlepoint book. Well, obviously those are just like cross stitch designs. I do like to needlepoint too. And so like here's one. Isn't that pretty? Let's see what else I can show you in here. There is, oh, I wish I could show you this. Hold on, let me see. I love squirrel nutkin. Okay, here it is. It's a fire screen. Yes, that's the squirrel nutkin. So cute. But that's a fire screen that you could stitch. You didn't have to do it needlepoint. You could just use the chart and do it in cross stitch. And then she showed these flowers just like from the garden, and they are stitched everywhere in there. And so yeah, I just thought that this would be really, really neat. And you know what? This book was probably under $5 as well. Like I said, I bought it at Thrift Books. Oh, look at this. Look at this tea cozy. Is that not pretty? So I loved getting them. And I'm just, like I said, I'm so enjoying immersing myself with stitching on the Beatrix Potter Sampler from Stitchy Box, reading the books, watching the movies. Thank you, Jackie, for the inspiration, because it has led me down an entire trail. Okay, the next thing I bought was Alice's Wonderland Sampler Quilts, 100 quilt blocks to improve your sewing skills. This is from Alice Caroline. Alice Caroline is the official distributor of Liberty of London Fabrics in the UK. I bought this book because I watched a podcast that was talking about this book, and I thought that this would be really neat, you know, for baby group. I teach people, if they don't know how to do something, if they want to learn to quilt, crochet, if they want to learn to knit, anything like that, I'll teach them. And so anyway, you start at the first block in this book is a very, very, very simple, it's called an Amish bar. And I'm wondering if there's a way I can show you. And then there's a fence rail. And then the next skill is a 9 patch. And then you move up to a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. A 30 patch because they call it a checkerboard. And then a log cabin block and a simple cross. I'm just going to try to show you pages like this. And so for each block that you do, it builds your skills. And so for me, I thought this would be very neat because it's almost like, for me, it's a curriculum to help. I have 2 new quilters that I'm teaching to quilt. And so I can teach them and build their skills. But when all is said and done, oh, this is her. This is Alice Caroline. And when all is said and done, if they perhaps made this whole quilt, let me see, there's a full shot of the quilt in here. This is not a full shot, but every quilt, it's like a sampler because every block is different, but look at the square and the square border. I love that. And so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a tiny border, 5 borders. And, or no, there's more than that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a skinny border there too. So it makes a very beautiful quilt. Well, I had watched this podcast, and also I was also inspired by one other thing. Okay, so anyway, so it was all about this book, and I thought, I have to have that. That is a wonderful, I have the quilt encyclopedia book with all kind of things, but like they had explained, and when I got this breaks down quilt block making and piecing. It has everything from applicative English paper piecing to simple piecing. And you can really, you could take some, do you want to learn a new block? Here, and I could show them and let them borrow my book and then bring that back to me or what have you. And they can increase their skills. And I'm going to use it like a curriculum. And there's 100 quilt patterns in there I can use myself. But the other thing is I got this off of Amazon, and so I will put a link to this. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Put a link to Wonderland book, and then I will put some links as well for you for Fat Quarter Shop, because I was inspired when my husband had a race here. Some of the gentlemen who had never been here came over and they toured the mill, and they were just so excited. I love that they were so encouraging to me, because they were like, oh, my sister-in-law, she quilts and she's amazing. Well, then they went home and they actually told her about me. And then she started following me on social media. And so I knew that that's who it was. So I started following her, and her quilting was absolutely stunning. And so she had done a Lori Holt quilt. She did the Great Granny Squared, and she did it in all of Lori Holt's material. And I mean, I hoard Lori Holt, but I thought, wouldn't a Great Granny Square look awesome in Liberty of London? So I went on a tangent. First of all, I called Carrie, because Carrie can get fabric wholesale, and so I called a friend, and so we were going through, and the ones that I wanted, I couldn't, they weren't new on the market, so they weren't there. So I went on a tangent, and I bought an extremely large amount of money worth of Liberty of London. This one is Liberty of London, and this is the Tudor Celebrations. This is Liberty of London, and it is, hold on, I gotta have, this is London Bouquet. And this one, I'm gonna tell you something. I just gotta be honest. I told Carrie I almost had a stroke when this arrived. This is, Bridgerton Tana Lawn Jumbo Fat Quarter. So I think that Bridgerton was the inspiration for this fat quarter set from Liberty of London, and Tana Lawn, I'm going to show you that right there. That is the designer for Liberty of London who did this. I'm going to show it to you. It's absolutely stunning, but I want you to look at this. This was called a Jumbo Fat Quarter. Carrie told me it's because they had a wider width of fabric. I'm sure if you get on to Fat Quarter Shop, you will realize this is a very expensive bundle of fabric, but it is so beautiful. I'm glad that I wasn't paying attention and I got it, because I may not have bought it. But it's just so pretty and so vintage. But this one, just full disclaimer, it's a lot of money for it, but it's so pretty. I'm thrilled that I bought it though. I will put a link for all of these in my description box. But so I will say this has nothing to do with Fat Quarter Shop because it's not Fat Quarter Shop's problem. This was a bundle that was, you know, it just is what it is. This is that line. So I wished it would have been more because normally I think you get a little bit more, but that's okay because it's beautiful and it makes up the difference. And then I got the Liberty of London Flower Shop. This is what I began with oh my gosh, I want to get that flower shop because I want to do a Great Granny Square from Lori Holt and do it in Liberty of London and have all of these beautiful, look at these beautiful colors. And a flower shop, and look, they have little houses. And so that's what got me on my kick. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll take that fat quarter bundle. Oh, I'll take that fat quarter bundle. Oh, I'll take 2 of those fat quarter bundles. And so I went off on a rabbit trail. And so that is, yeah. Got this book, was totally Liberty of London drunk from it. Saw the Racer's sister-in-law's Lori Holt quilt. Yeah, it's okay. Don't you love fabric? I love fabric. Okay. So that was a crazy time. And speaking of quilt alongs, my sweet friend, Carrie Tiger Lily Designs. Adita Sitar is one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite. And Carrie is doing a quilt along in the month of October with this absolutely stunning Adita Sitar fabric. And she created a quilt kit for us. And we are going to have prompts to go through. And look at all of these. My sweet bestie cut that out all yourself. You got a lock block ruler, and then I bought the backing fabric, which I never do because you know I'm an old-fashioned girl. I do muslin backs. That's how my old ladies taught me, and that's what I'm sticking to generally. But I was like, oh yes, I need that back. And it's Carrie's stitch along. So anyway, I don't know if Carrie has any more of these quilt kits, but you can follow her on social media, Tiger Lily Designs. She's always in my description box, so she'll be in the description box. But I'm looking very forward to this quilt along because it's going to be a churn dash. I'm a absolute traditional block junkie. I like traditional quilts. Go figure. I'm old-fashioned. And so anyway, it's going to be a gorgeous churn dash in this beautiful Adita Sitar fabric. And so go catch up with Carrie on the socials and on Patreon. You can join her Patreon for free, and that's where you're going to get the first tidbits of information before anybody for anything. When I was on Thrift Books on the app, I got a notification which shocked me. I think it's been 4 years. I've been waiting to find a copy of Stitched in Adversity, Samplers of the Poor by Whitney Antiques in London in UK. And it was there. It was in Thrift Books. I was shocked to pieces. There's another one that I have in there that I have been, Needlework Press, the Blue School house book. Yeah. Vicki, I want a copy of that. Can't we do a rerun of it? But anyway, I had been wanting this so badly. And so it was in there. So I bought this and I didn't give barely anything for it. And it's just filled with beautiful samplers of the poor. And of course, Whitney Antiques. Nicola Parkman has taken us there in her YouTube. And they house, I think they have 6,000 or 10,000 samplers in-house. They're just amazing. And this, look at this. Look at that. And then, what's it say? The orphans, may everlasting happy be your reward. Just wonderful. So anything like that. So that was in my my wish list, and it just happened to be on there that faithful day I bought the Beatrix Potter books. So I was really excited about that. And then from Fat Quarter Shop, I got my Sew Sampler box. This is the August Sew Sampler box. And August Sew Sampler box, let's pull it out. Rain Lily's Table Runner pattern comes in here to go with the beautiful Bernitex fabric. You get 3 charm packs. This is, I don't know what the name, Among the Wildflowers too. Look at those pretty blues and greens. And you can, it comes with this pattern. You know, there's always a link for you if you want to make it bigger. I think, maybe there is, maybe there's not. There's not. But so anyway, so this is for this table runner. You got the pattern. You got 3 charm packs. You got a hexie ruler from, it's the 4-in-1 non-slip 4.5-inch hexie. Then you got a sew line pen. Yay. Those are fantastic. And then they are on block number 5 of the flowering quilt along, because they, you know, if you get the Sew Sampler box, there's always a quilt along that runs for the year. And so this is the current one, and it is flowering, and they're on block 3. This is Sweet as Honeysuckle block, and it's exclusively in the Sew Sampler box. So anyway, you can get that at Fat Quarter Shop. It's a monthly subscription. And where are you getting? I'm so sorry about that. Oh, now let me adjust my camera. Okay. I'm sorry about that. My lost battery. And so I got dethroned there really quick. So sorry about that. So what I was saying is where you're going to get for under $40. Such a nice box. So it's just one of my favorite things. And I tell you that every time that I'll always get it. And then also from the Fat Quarter Shop, Be in My Bonnet Stitch Card Set Z. I wonder if Lori's going to make a new series. I mean, she's gone through 26, the whole alphabet. So very cute. Very, very, very cute. So I got that. And then I did place an order. I was just perusing when I bought the fabric that day, and they call this pattern spring bouquets. When I was younger and the old ladies taught me to quilt, they called these bachelor bouquets. But you know, every pattern gets a new... I didn't, you know, that the names change over the years, same block. But so this used to be called a bachelor bouquet, but their version of it is spring bouquets. And so I saw that and I thought, oh, that's so pretty. All the Lori Holt and all the Liberty of London, all the things. Oh my gosh. So I ordered the acrylic ruler set that goes along with it too. And this is 9 rulers to do the spring bouquets quilt block. And that was from Fat Quarter Shop. And so that's all I got. And so that's everything, except for I realized I forgot to tell you, I did have 2 more finishes. I finished a quilt for my daughter for her birthday. The quilt that Carrie and I made when she was here for StitchCon, I got it up on the quilter and I quilted it on social media. I kind of teased, but I couldn't show you because it was for my daughter for her birthday. When it was pinning day and I had the back laying on the ground and I was pinning it, getting ready to take it up to the quilter. And then I showed you when I was making the quilt label. And so I'll drop a picture right here of the completed quilt that I made for Erin, my only daughter, for her birthday. And as well, I finished her box and I took your advice. I put her E in the middle of it, and then on the inside I used velveteen and some lace, and I mounted my tatted piece, and she absolutely loved it. I think she was shocked when you know, it wasn't cross stitch. It was, you know, it was bullion roses and all the things. It was embroidery and it was, I just really was proud of it. And I wanted to give her something that I hope is a lasting memory and an heirloom from her mama to her. So she got a quilt in that box. And so all of it, I'll have loaded the pictures on there and you'll have seen it. But so now you've heard about what I've been up to. You've seen my new releases. You have seen all of my whips. You've seen my purchases, and you saw my wonderful, wonderful new lap stand from Hobby House, and it's all about the wood. And I hope I inspired you somehow today, and I hope you enjoyed our time together. I've enjoyed my time with you, but I think that'll do it for today. But until I see you again, I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends.